Hello, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is John Rose, and in this video I'm going to take a closer look at what I know to be, without any shadow of a doubt, the most common disease and the most dangerous disease that's ever afflicted mankind ever since the fall of mankind. It's been a long time, about 3,000 generations, and I'm going to show how that affects the two most important messages on my YouTube channel. One has to do with health, the other has to do with money. More specifically, our lack of health and lack of knowledge, and usury, or the loaning of money. That's really important to understand. This, on this side, our health, on this hand, we have the ultimate tool of control. This world could not exist if we were healthy. It's a reflection of us being sick. And then the absolute tool of control is money and usury. The loaning of that money, taking over a country's money supply, is how we're being ruled. It's the most important part of my message because it's the absolute tool of control that's able to control everything, that makes sure we don't have that knowledge so that we can be healthy. Everything on this planet has to do with our health. It's number one. That's what my channel is mostly about. That's the upstream part of my equation, our solution. And then the downstream, we've been damaged. And the way our society's been damaged has to do with how people have taken control over our money supply. They're counterfeiters. They print money out of thin air, and then with the fractional reserve banking system we have, if it's 10%, if $1,000 is created out of thin air, it prints some money, it's not backed by anything. When that bank gets it, it can loan out 90%, it has to keep 10% as reserves. So as soon as they do that, we have more money created. You see how that works? All you have to do if you print up $1,000, is you keep 100. So what do we have? This bank can now loan out $900. So they just created another $900. As soon as they loan that out and it goes to another bank and they have to hold on to their 10%, now they have $81 or $810 they can loan out. So it goes on and on. It creates debt, as John Adams said. There are two ways to conquer and enslave a nation. One is by the sword and the other is by debt. We're debt slaves. We shouldn't be working these long hours for a horrible quality of life. Life is such an illusion. There's the illusion of scarcity. That's what the usury is all about. It's to keep us poor, to keep us from realizing we live on an abundant planet. So any story related to usury is going to be twisted around so you don't ever investigate it. And the same thing when it comes to our health. Our so-called experts are misdirected. They don't know anything about what causes disease. They don't know anything about nutrition. And I'm even talking about the nutritionist. Even those so-called experts don't know. According to them, everything's okay. All food's acceptable within moderation. What's a buzzword you never want to hear when it comes to food? So, hypo-Heliosis. That is the most common disease and the most dangerous disease that has ever afflicted us ever since we made a mistake. It's the worst symptom from it. It creates an abnormally low biophoton level. Cooking destroys the biophotons by 100%. So when we're born at 43,000, according to Dr. Fritz Albert Popp, and most of us are around 1,000 to 23,000 because we're not eating that much raw living foods, we should be at 83,000. So look at the difference. If you're lucky, you might be up in the 20s when we should be up in the 80s. But most of us are even lower. So that's the worst thing that happened to us. That's the most common disease and the most dangerous disease because it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. Almost everyone makes this mistake. And they don't think it's a mistake. They think it's okay. So I can't imagine not cooking my food. I don't want to eat meat raw. Yeah, exactly. If you have to cook it to eat it, that should tell you something. In fact, a lot of things that we shouldn't be eating to begin with, we never would have eaten it had we not cooked our food. That's why the cooking is the first of all these mistakes we've made. And what's the worst symptom from it? Hypo-Heliosis. We lose one of our senses. We're supposed to have 6 strong senses instead of 5 and just a little fraction. Again, think if you're only at 1,000 biophotons and you should be at 83,000. You know, those are the type of people who don't care if they harm anybody because they don't feel anything. Now, even if you're at that low, doesn't mean you still have to be a thug. You could still have been brought up with values, and you might even be able to be a decent person. A lot of factors that go into it. But when you understand the total ramifications by being disconnected on a collective level, it just doesn't allow us to be what we should be doing. So we have hypo-Heliosis on an individual level and on a collective level, A and B. And it's a little frustrating to bump up your biophotons and feel really good and connected to nature, but then you don't feel the same thing that you should from other people. Because that's the main thing we're supposed to be able to do. It's more species specific. It explains how fish can swim and create all these designs, and they're in unison, and it looks like they're, you know, it scares the predator off, or it's mystical the way they do all those forms, and they've never figured out how they're doing it. How are they communicating? What's on a cellular level? That's what the biophotons do. It's cellular communication. That's the fall of mankind. And that's hypo-Heliosis. Everywhere on this planet, people are suffering from an extremely low biophoton level. And a lot of us still do pretty good, as bad as this world is. But it's not even coming close to what it should be. What do we have? We have the worst of the worst of us, printing our money, creating an illusion of scarcity, thinking that there's never enough, making us work maybe 20 times more than we should for a quality of life that's no good, because we're always going to be sick. We're not going to have that sixth sense, which changes your whole life. And I know this is a lot like trying to talk color to a blind person. And again, it's just not the same thing as long as we have hypo-Heliosis B. As long as this planet suffers from hypo-Heliosis B, we're never going to change. That's why I say that we have to reach the tipping point, or things won't change. We got to get enough of us to take a solid food vacation to get everyone's attention and help them realize there's another quality of life out there. Your life can be transformed in ways you just don't understand. But once a lot of people start doing it, think about how exciting that can be. And what will happen once we reach that little magic number, whatever it might be, where everybody realizes, my gosh, every day I go out, I'm seeing so many people I know doing this, and look at them. Damn, I'm going to do this. So that's my mission, to help us understand how to be healthy. Because Dr. Pop, who coined the word biophotons, said all living systems out there, all plants and animals and fungi, they have these biophotons and they emit them, and the more they have, the healthier they are. The less they have, the sicker they are. It only makes sense, right? Cells aren't able to communicate. So it's a hard thing to do to describe a revelation. That's why you simply just got to do it yourself. And realize how important it is to be healthy. Realize how important it is that when we go downstream, there's too many things to do. We got to create some priorities. Number one on that list has to do with putting an end to usury. You hear end the Fed, well, that's what that's all about. The end of usury. We got to stop letting someone else print our money, and we got to stop playing the money game. No one's winning the money game. Even these people who are in charge, they're not winning either. Because this planet could be so much more. So, do you have the knowledge of how to live? Do you know people who don't have it and they need it? Now the question is, are they going to be receptive? And what you're going to find is, if you don't tell the story the right way, they're going to tune out too quickly. That's what I learned to do at the very beginning. I was very vague about everything. To get an idea, watch the Ultimate Solution 11-part video playlist. And you'll notice that I don't even talk about a solid food vacation or even food for a long time, to get people intrigued and make them see the logic in this, so they can see there's no flaws in the structure of this argument. That you don't want to waste your time downstream treating a problem that's within your control, or that's not on that top priority list of what we have to really focus on, number one. When we take back absolute tool of control, money, and when we finally take back the ultimate tool of control, our health, ow, man, that's a day we got to shoot for when it happens. You know, we're all in for a treat.